Right, I figured I'd better do an AX8 video because I haven't done one for ages and lots of you guys have been asking about it. I've been right down the Axe-FX3 rabbit hole and I've been super busy with a bunch of other projects that I've got going on, so I haven't basically taken the AX8 out other than to play a gig, but I have been doing probably like 2 or 3 gigs a week with it. So it's been getting heaps and heaps of use. I just haven't had it here in the studio to do some videos with it. So while I've got it here, I want to show you guys basically a tone that I'm setting up for a gig I've got on the weekend. It's essentially like a pop thing. We're playing a festival for basically a TV personality. We're only doing like 4 or 5 songs, but I need a couple of sounds. It's really, really basic. The big factor is using this PRS guitar because I can use the humbucker modes or the split modes on it. It's a JB in the bridge and a jazz in the neck, and then it's got, you know, the like parallel coil 5-way rotary thing happening. So I've got the AX8 set up. The amp that I'm using for all of this is the Atomica High. I love the Atomica High. It's incredible. I'm using a scene controller on the input drive. So basically, scene number 1 has a drive at about 11 o'clock. Scene number 2, which is a cleaner scene, has it all the way down. Scene number 3, which again is just dirty, adds a drive at noon. And scene number 4 really cranks the input drive. So that's happening. On scene 2, which is a clean scene, I've got a compressor on there. I've also got a wah patched in for all of this, a phaser if I need it, and a little bit of parametric EQ, and some reverb and delay. So the cab that I am using at the moment, this is a mix I made from the York Audio bipolar cab pack. It's basically the Recto 57 MC and the 121.1 blended. I think the 121 from memory is at about -6 or -9 dB. I mixed that in Cab Lab, or Justin might have mixed this in Cab Lab. I can't remember which one. There might be another mix which I did, or he might have sent me this one. So that one sounds really cool. You can see the low cut and the high cut, 100 Hertz and 6500 Hertz. The way we're running the gig, we're all on in-ears because there are some additional instruments on a backing track with a click, so we all need to be able to cue stuff and hear stuff from the click. So that's pretty fun. That's happening. And then in this parametric EQ block, I'm just pulling out a little bit of, what is that? Let's see, about 5.5 and 3.3K. Again, watch the hardcore music studio video on EQing rock guitars and metal guitars because I'm basically just stealing that trick. That just pulls out a little, like a few harsh frequencies that I don't like out of there, and really high Q there, so they're quite surgical, those cuts. Let's actually have a listen to what this sounds like. This is scene 1. This is just my straight up rock guitar scene. It's not super gainy, but you know, it sounds good in the ears, and I've dialed this in at a really high volume because we're going to be playing a festival, so hopefully it works. You know, I've had experience with this in the past where if you have too much high end in the preset, you play on a really big stage, it just gets crazy, and same thing, the low end really blows out. So this is what it sounds like. I've got this reverb, this is Recording Studio C on there to thicken everything up a little bit. The mix is at 10% and the time is at 0.8 seconds. I've also set the low cut at 200 so it sort of doesn't muddy up the low end. Again, because we're playing with ears, I've basically got that set up so that it doesn't sound as like direct, and you know, it just sounds way better using ears, and it's not too overpowering in the mix. I think it does thicken stuff up nicely though, if you have a listen to it without it. Just a little bit of ambiance happening there. So that's what's going on there. Scene 2 kicks the compressor in and it's low gain. I've also got a delay block on there because there's a lot of this sort of, you know, U2 style rhythmic delay stuff happening. So that's a nice clean scene, and then in the amp block from memory, if we have a look at the dynamic section, I think I added some output comp. There is a little bit of output compression. That just helps level out the distorted sound and the clean sound. And this compressor block here, I'm using the optical comp, and you can see I'm slamming it with compression to even everything out. Scene 3 is basically the first rock scene just with a drive pedal kicked in, so it's for, you know, chunk pretty. That's cool when I need to fully rock out. And then scene 4 is the lead scene, which has a little bit of a boost and basically this lead delay. What am I running on the delay? Let's have a look. Stereo bucket brigade, ratio at 75%. So it's in stereo. Basically, this is just going to give you like a huge lead delay like this. For when I have to play like the 1 or 2 guitar solos that I have to do, I can go absolutely mental with that. So that's how I'm setting that up. The other thing that I've got hiding in here, and somebody commented in the forum that they'd been using this live EQ and they said they got it from me. Well, I stole it from Christian, who posted it in the forum, and he, I don't know, I won't say he stole it, but it was this is basically because of Jason Sadites. So if you don't know who Jason Sadites is, he is a like Helix power user, but his videos are like insane, man. He's such a great player. He's so good at dialing in tones, and I would recommend, if you're not watching his channel, go and watch it, because it just, his stuff applies to modelers in general and to guitar sounds in general. And I basically borrowed or stole this pretty much wholesale from him. So these are his EQ settings, and this I don't have on at the moment, but these are the kind of things where if I'm going to be playing, if I end up having to play through a full range system, they're just kind of tweaks that really help the, you know, guitar pop live in a mix. This would be more for a situation where, you know, it's a smaller PA, or, you know, they set the PA up and they say, have fun with this, and, you know, there's not going to be anybody doing your ears, or there's not going to be anybody really mixing you. They're just going to set the levels, and this is just one of those things where in situations where the PA sounds really muddy, I can kick this on, and yeah, it's essentially just, you know, go and watch Jason's video because he talks all the way through it. It's just pulling out a bit of 400, boosting a little bit of 4K. I don't boost as much 4K as he does, and then pulling out adding a bit of 180 just to sort of chunk stuff up, as well as some high and low pass on the main scene. Whoops, I always forget about that with the AX8. This is the difference. And it's pretty addictive. I mean, you get used to the way that sounds, and it just sort of pushes the specific guitar frequencies that you really want to the forefront of the mix. So I don't have that on. I think this sounds fine, and it sounded fine in rehearsals so far without it in the ears, and hopefully the front of house person will be able to work with it. If they don't, I can chuck this parametric EQ on and it will probably make things better. Other than that, yeah, the wah block is just what is going on with the wah block? I think I've got an XY thing happening with that. So the X state, I just did a dumb thing. Sorry, I left the preset. The X state on the wah is, well, the Y state is this Clyde, and the X state is this Crybaby with the frequency pulled out. So basically, not pulled out, but the frequency a lot lower. So I use the Clyde for funky stuff, don't really need to use it for this gig. And I use the Crybaby for lead stuff because it sounds awesome and fat. Basically, yeah, if you bring the maximum frequency down, it sounds huge. It's sort of like voiced the way the Jerry Cantrell wah is voiced, the Dunlop pedal, with the maximum frequency a lot lower. And it just, yeah, just cuts, sounds awesome. And that is the AX8 preset I'm using for this essentially sideman gig, which is kind of cool. It's a pretty basic kind of rock thing, all goes direct, goes to ears. You know, it's only running at 72% CPU, so if I needed to add another effect for something specific, I could do it. But yeah, I think it sounds pretty cool. I'm going to play around with the lead scene for a little bit because I think it sounds awesome, and I will see you guys next time.